Lord Shiva deity that protects the whole Radhakund area. Kandeswar Mahadev, Kandeswar Mahadev. So we ask his permission to enter Radhakund and do the parikrama. So this is the manifestation of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva guards the four directions of his holy Dham. Actually, he guards all the different parts of Dhams too. In Vrindavan, he guards Vrindavan as Gopishwar Mahadev, and here it's Kundeshwara Mahadev. So please give us permission to enter into the holy Dham. The Bhakti Saraswati at the entrance to Radhakund. Connor Julin. You know what a Julin is?
Swing.
Swing. We'll have to get a special swing. We'll have to have a Julin yacha for you every year on your birthday.
I remember you were here for my 6th birthday.
Your 6th birthday?
Yeah. And you gave me this garment.
That was a big birthday.
Yeah. Gopis and Radharani proposed to decorate his cows and monkeys. They said no. So, Krishna went to his mother and he asked her, "Can I have some pearls to plant some pearl trees?" And she said, "Don't be silly. You can't grow pearl trees." But then Krishna convinced his mom to give him the pearls, and then she gave him some pearls, and then he grew pearl trees with different colors of pearls. Then he decorated his monkeys and cows with the pearls, and then the gopis and Radharani stole instead of asked the pearls from their mom, and then they planted in the ground, watered it with milk products, but it only was thorn trees. So then they begged Krishna so many times for pearls because they stole from their mothers and they had to return it. And Krishna said no. And then after so many begs, Krishna finally said yes and gave them pearls in boxes with their names on it.
Very nice. So this is called Malyahari Kund, where that famous pearl pastime took place that Kana just told us about. It's very nice. You did a good job.
Thank you, Acharya Kana.
This is the Radha. Anyway, we'll talk in the back. This is the Radha Sharma Sundara temple of Shavananda Goswami. And you'll notice that you'll have all the Goswami temples here at Radhakund. The reason being is that when the Goswamis established their temple in Vrindavan, the deities, they wanted to protect the deities. Let me take this off for a second. It's hard to talk to it. They wanted to protect the deities. So what happened, let the lady through, is when the Muslims attacked, Vrindavan, they took the deities here to the Radhakund area. And being in Radhakund, they established temples for these deities, the original deities of the Goswamis. But then the Muslims decided to attack here. So then they took the deities to other places like Udaipur, Jaipur, Natwar to protect the deities. But when they took the deities away from here, the devotees got so, let's say, morose, feeling separation from the deities, they decided to erect replica temples of the temples in Vrindavan. So that's why you'll find the Radha Sundara temple here, the Radha Govinda temple here, And Radha Gopinath temple, all the temples that are there in Vrindavan have replicas here. And in Vrindavan, of course, most of the deities are pratibhu deities or replica deities because they took the deities away. And here also, they're pratibhu deities. Pratibhu deities are non-different from the original deities. Remember that. It's not that they're any different, or it's a different Krishna, or it's not spiritual, or anything like that. It's exactly the same. So this is the Radha Shyama Sundara temple. Okay, and we circumambulate the deities here. Everybody here, we're missing some people.
Maybe they're going a different way.
This is the Radha Damodar temple. Srila Jiva Goswami. Okay. This is the Radha Damodar temple of Jiva Goswami. There's two Radha Damodar temples here. You can take darshan of the deities. Very well taken care of. These Radha Damodar, and we can see Lord Shiva guards this direction, the northern direction of Radha. So we get permission from him to continue, and just follow me. Called the Radha Raman temple. And so Radha Raman refers to his deities, the self-manifested deity of Radha Raman. So the story of Radha Raman is as follows. The Gopal Bhatta Goswami had 8 Shalagram Shilas. And he was a very humble devotee, right? Are you humble? You think so? Anyone who thinks so is not humble. So that's a trick, you understand? If you ask someone if they're humble, they say, I'm humble. Oh, so, anyway, so he had 8 Shalagram Shilas. He thought himself unworthy to worship the Shalagram Shilas, brought them back to the Mandakini Ganges, and put them in there. And he put, actually, of Nepal. And he put them there, back there, and then jumped back in his hands. And he put them in again, and then jumped back in his hands, and put them in, and jumped back in his hands several times. And then he understood that he was supposed to brought them back. Wow, there we go. Yeah, special mercy. Brought them back to Vrindavan, and he was feeling separation from worshiping actual three-dimensional deities. And so he was meditating, and one day a very rich man gave him a lot of clothes to worship his deities with, and because he didn't have a way to dress the deities, he was still feeling more lamentation. Next morning he woke up in one of the Shilas, the Damodar Shila, became Radha Raman, self-manifested deity. So that Radha Raman is now in Vrindavan, one of the few original deities that's in Vrindavan right now. The Radha Raman deity, you can take darshan of Radha Raman.
It's interesting that they have Radha Raman here.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the temples I have Shalagram and Govardhan here. This is the Radha Govinda temple of Rupa Goswami. Deities aren't open right now, but this is a replica where Radha Govinda were originally before they were bringing from Jaipur. They went from Vrindavan to here, and then Jaipur. And you can see them today in Jaipur. Radha Govinda ki jai. Mandir. Because they were digging a well, which we'll see in a few moments, to get water so the residents of the Radha Kund wouldn't have to use the Kund to wash their clothes. And so they hit a rock, and that rock was bleeding. And that night, Raghunath Das Goswami had a dream, and in that dream, Krishna revealed to him that rock was his tongue. And to install it in a separate temple, and if you circumambulate the temple,
7 times it's like doing
if you circumambulate, it's like going around Govardhan Hill. So we'll circumambulate, we'll take darshan of the tongue. Most people worship their own tongue. Right? What does that mean to worship your own tongue?
like, so you give your, so like you eat food?
Yeah, you just like, you spend your whole life looking for different types of food. Like one day you want Chinese.
因为这一生在这儿绕上七圈儿。
That's right. Wow. You remember. So this is called the Teen Goswami Samadhi. Teen means 3. So there's 3 Goswamis who have their Samadhi here. Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatta, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Now the reason for that is originally they had different Samadhis. But when the Muslims came here, they were going to dig up the bodies and desecrate, just like tear the bodies through the street. So the Vaishnavas decided to cremate the bodies of these 3 great personalities and put them right here. So these are the cremated remains of these 3 great personalities. They all passed away on the same day.
In different years.
Different years. Wow.
But they take it out of the samadhi and then cremate.
Yeah, they take it out of the samadhi and then cremate it. Before the Muslims got the bodies. So we're circumambulating. Same thing in different years. Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Remember Gopal Bhatta Goswami? He was actually from South India. Very interesting story. He was from South India, and when Lord Chaitanya visited during the 4 months of the rainy season actually, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in his house. And he was a little kid, like Kana. And he patted Gopal Bhatta on the head, and he told him that you take care of your parents, never leave your parents. What do you think about that?
Never leave your parents?
That's right.
I think that would be a good idea.
Take care of your parents as long as they're alive. And when his parents passed away, he went to join the other Goswamis of Vrindavan in Vrindavan. So it's Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So it's
Yes.
Krishna took the footprint of the Rishishura and deepened it. And he called all the holy rivers because the gopis wouldn't go near him until he bathed in all the holy rivers. So Shaimakunda, and this is a famous pilu tree. Don't take any pieces of the pilu tree unless they're on the ground. This is the famous pilu tree, which is an incarnation of a Brahmin from Kashi. This Brahmin wanted to see Krishna's pastimes. So over 5,000 years ago, he took birth as a pilu tree, and the gopis put their clothes on top of him as they were bathing in the champagne. This is the same pilu tree, over 5,000 years old. And if you're Krishna conscious, you can talk to the pilu tree. That's a test of your Krishna consciousness. There was one great devotee, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who stayed here and was able to talk to the pilu tree, and the pilu tree told him about Krishna's pastimes. It's a very wonderful tree.
And it looks like it's been living for like 1 billion years.
They're billions of years old. Wow. Okay.
No, I just guessed that.
Now the Shama, the reason Shaimakunda has a weird shape That's right, because Raghunath Das Goswami, he had a dream as they were excavating the Shaimakund, and in his dream the Pandavas said they're living on the banks of the Shaimakund as trees. Now, therefore he cut around the tree so he didn't cut down the trees. So the only tree that's remaining is the Bhima tree. And that Bhima tree is, of course, dead right now. A few years ago, all the trees were alive.
You said about 40 years.
It's real years for you.
I hope he's on devotional break. This is Bhima.
Okay, we can get strength from Bhima.
You can Bhima.
And you can also eat a lot if you associate with Bhima. Of Radha and Krishna.
Bhajan Kutir Vishnu Chakrati Thakura.
Okay, is everybody here? Everybody here?
Yes.
You're missing from... No, I think we're missing something.
Just him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we forgot about Champlain water.
I'll get some.
Yeah, why don't we gotta get some water. Sanatana Goswami saw that. And he chastised Raghunath Das Goswami, said, you can't take service from Krishna. Then a few days later, it was very hot, and he was still chanting without a bhajan kutir. And Radharani came out and shielded his head with her veil. When Sanatana Goswami saw that, he said, no excuse. You have to build a bhajan kutir. So this is the same place. This is not obviously it's not the original bhajan kutir. Because Raghunath Das Goswami would not make something so complicated and so many decorations. This is all new. Actually, it's all new. Okay. So that's how we were able to write about it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami left home when he was about 70 or 80 years old. The reason he left home is that his brother disrespected Lord Nityananda. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita says, if you disrespect Lord Nityananda and don't respect respect Lord Chaitanya, that's worse than being an atheist. It's better to disrespect both. But it's better to worship both Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. It's like respecting Krishna but disrespecting Balaram. Because Lord Nityananda is Balaram. So at 80 years old, and he was practically blind and his hand was shaking like this, and he was able to compose his most eloquent, beautiful Chaitanya Charitamrita. Amazing. 80 years old. Remember, in those days, they didn't have cataract surgery. That means that, practically speaking, he was blind. Because when you get to be 60 or 70, generally you have, especially in weather like this, you got to have cataract surgery to be able to see. I mean, I had cataract surgery over a year ago, and it was like seeing again, getting new eyes. Because everything starts to get clouded, and then the lights start to get like star-shaped and things like that. So that happens. For all of you who are young, which is, I think, old people, you'll experience that when you get older. When he was 80 years old, and he experienced it, and he was still able to write. And we have so many excuses why we can't do things. We say, oh, I'm not getting enough prasada, nobody loves me, it's too hot, it's too cold, what else? I'm tired.
I know.
But amazing poetry that Chaitanya Charitamrita is written with amazing poetry that Yahweh. Simply amazing. So, anyway, we can leave a little donation here. This wonderful devotee has been taking care of this temple for a long time. So everybody leave a little something for him.
Ten rupee chocolate.
Okay, so This is the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which he constructed on the banks or near Radhakund. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur lived here also. So we're going to go inside and take a look.
That's inside. Yeah. That's why he opened it. He was a tip.
In this room,
Sorry.
in this room, Srila Prabhupada, everybody come in first.
Come in.
In this room, Srila Prabhupada received instructions from his Guru Maharaj that if he ever had any money to print and distribute books, his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was sitting on a swing. It was hanging from these hooks in the ceiling. You can see there? See the hooks? We're going to see the swing in a second, which is made up as a bed right now. So he was hanging from here and rocking back and forth because he loved to have swings in his places. I do too, right?
Yes, you did.
I have a swing.
Back at your house.
See, when you get older, you get on a swing. Would that be nice?
I
No?
guess so.
Yeah. So he was sitting on the swing and he told Prabhupada, if you ever get any money, print and distribute books, and if he could sell the marble from the temple, then he could print and distribute books with the money from that. Also, he said something very interesting. He said, there will be a fire in the mouth. What that meant was that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur understood that when he left this world, the devotees would fight over the properties of the Gaudiya Math, which didn't happen when Prabhupada left, because Prabhupada said we should form a GBC, which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also wanted his disciples to do, but they didn't do. And we formed the GBC, and ISKCON is together stronger than ever, bigger than ever now. Because of following Prabhupada's direction of forming a GBC. Simply, if one follows the direction of the Guru, one will be successful. So here's the Pushpa Samadhis of different personalities, including Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is Pushpa Samadhi. And this is the bedroom of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Everybody come in. But this is not his bed, this is the swing. They made it up as a bed, but it's not his bed. It's the swing that he would swung on and gave instructions to Prabhupada.
And
And there's the first toilet there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Oh, you're gonna say, okay, you say.
So he invented the first toilet so people wouldn't do their stuff in Radhakund.
That's right. Very nice. Very nice. And so there's also his shoes and a cane there. Because he said, every day you should beat your mind with your shoes and a cane like 100 times. That means don't pay attention to your mind. Don't beat your mind, no. You get a concussion. Okay, let's go. Larka. You remember that? Honey larka. What is larka?
Boy.
Boy. Honey larka. And if one of the girls goes, what is she called? Honey larki. Actually, Honey Kumara is better. So this is Lalita Kund, and all the Kunds of the Sakis, or the coward girlfriends of Krishna, surround Radhakund. That, of course, is called Mohan Kund. And some of the Saki Kunds are actually where they constructed the houses. This big Kund is called Mohan Kund, and this is Lalita Kund. Krishna, quite small. Okay. This is the sitting place of Shripad Madhavendra Puri, the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri, who is the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Madhavendra Puri is described as like the storehouse of love of God, from which all the other branches of the Chaitanya tree branched out from. So Lord Chaitanya understood that anybody who had the ecstatic love for Krishna and the mood of the gopis must have had a connection with Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri was served very nicely by Ishwara Puri when he was leaving his body. Therefore, Ishwara Puri got the blessing of being the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. And Madhavendra Puri had another disciple, Ramchandra Puri, who offended him when he was leaving the body. And then he cursed Ramchandra Puri. He said, "Get out of here, I don't want to see your face anymore." And Ramchandra Puri became an offender to the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas. Okay? It's a very important place, the sitting place of Shripad Madhavendra Puri. Okay, and the Gita Govinda deals with the most good pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And Krishna himself wrote the part of the Gita Govinda, especially the part where it's described that Krishna bows down and touches the feet of Srimati Radharani. So it's a very important work. And so Radha Madhava Temple of Jayadeva Goswami, you'll certainly have to like. So we're going to go to his Pushpa Samadhi. Gambling pastimes took place between Radha and Krishna. Dice especially. So this is like an old style chessboard. Which they, you know what dice? You know what dice is? What do you do with dice? You throw. How many numbers do dice have?
6.
Wow.
Well, I've seen someone that can 12.
He's been gambling. Oh, Radha and Krishna would gamble here. But they wouldn't gamble money. They would gamble romantic things. Like if Krishna won, then Radharani had to give him a kiss. If Radha won, Krishna had to give him a kiss. Very romantic. You householders should not play like that.
How about the brahmacharis?
This is Sanatana Goswami's Bhajan Kutir, where he resided on the banks of the Shamakund and chanted. Sanatana Goswami, of course, is the eldest of all the Goswamis of Vrindavan.
And by sitting,
And then now we're going to see
Krishna das
Madhav.
Goswami.
So now we're going to see Madhav Mohan, the ladies of Sanatana Goswami.
Madam Mohan.
This, of course, is Shaimakund. And we started the parikrama of Shaimakund with Manasa Pavana Ghat. Everybody remembers the ghat where the Pima tree is? That's where we started. And there's the Bhima tree right over there. See that? And the Bhajan Kutir of Raghunath Das Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is right there. So it's shaped very oddly because of the trees. The Arjun tree used to be there, but it's not there anymore. And the other trees used to be around the banks over there. Okay. Okay, everybody. This is the Radha Gokulananda Temple, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. You can see the deities, they're well lit. Everybody get a chance to see the deities. Radha Gokulananda. Isn't it better you by the beach today? Because then you can go back and get the eternity with you.